the age at which Imam Jawad alayhi was martyred. And so he was among actually the youngest of our Imams to be martyred. And also among the youngest to become the Imam at that time. This was the first time that it's someone so young to become the Imam at this time. His imamate was about 17 years. So from the time that he became the Imam until the time of the Shahadat, that period of the imamate was 17 years. So in discussing the biography of Imam Jawad alayhi salam, inshallah what I will do is I will give kind of a chronology of the Imam, of some of the things that happened in the life of the Imam. But what is important is to understand the lessons that we gain from the life of Imam Jawad alayhi salam. And we learn that lesson, I think, from the very beginning, something that is even fruitful and beneficial for us today in our life at this moment. And what is actually happening in the world today? Imam Jawad alayhi salam was born, I'll give the common era dates for this chronology. So in 811 CE common era. This is when Imam Jawad alayhi was born. According to one of the accounts, it was the middle of Ramadan, 15th of Ramadan. But the most popular account is the 10th of Rajab. So this is when Imam Jawad alayhi was born in Medina to his father Imam Ali bin Musa alayhi. And of course, as we mentioned before, we discussed the life of Imam Rida alayhi salam. He was actually running the educational institute that Imam Musa Kadhim alayhi had established after Imam Sadiq. Of course, the university and the open education that Imam Sadiq alayhi had at his time became a little bit more narrow when Harun Rashid, Harun al-Abbasi, he became the Khalifa. Imam Musa Kadhim was a little bit more under pressure. So he moved the education out to one of the suburbs of Medina. And after the Shahadat of Imam Kadhim alayhi salam, Imam Rida, he continued that education. So Imam Jawad was born in Medina while Imam Rida was heading this institute of education. This is from the side of the father, and of course, there's no question about that. Imam Ma'soom, born from another Imam Ma'soom. The mother of Imam Jawad alayhi salam, who was, as Imam Ibrahim, that she was from Nuba. She was from Nuba, which is northern Sudan, this area, northern Sudan, or the southern part of Egypt. That area is called Nuba. This is where his mother was from. And according to the accounts about the life of Imam Jawad alayhi salam, on one hand, Imam Rida, he said that the son of his is an hero of that. He is among the best, and he is an exemplary individual. Imam Jawad alayhi salam. And according to accounts, he was the only son of Ali bin Musa alayhi salam. Imam Rida didn't have any other sons. Imam Jawad was the only son, and according to some historical accounts, some of the historians, they said that perhaps even the only child of Imam Rida alayhi salam, which was kind of opposite of Imam Rida's father, Imam Musa Kadhim. Imam Musa Kadhim, he was the, as they say, Aktharu Imam Amlad. So when you look at the children, the number of children, Imam Kadhim had the most children out of all of them. And Imam Rida had the least among children. One being Imam Rida, Imam Jawad. Whether there were others siblings. Of course, there were other sons, but whether they were daughters or not, this is something that is not clear. And some say that no, it was only Imam Jawad Ali. Anyway, so Imam Jawad, even in his description, according to some of the descriptions, it said that Imam Jawad was Shadidul Summa or Shaddul Udama, meaning that he was clearly, if we say today, had like African features, and his mother is from Nuba. Again, if you go back to his grandmother, great grandmother, they were also from Northern Africa. And so Imam Jawad, he had features that made him look very African. And this is something, and one of the points that even in the lifetime of Imam Jawad, and one encounter that he had with one of the believers, and this is after the Shahadat of Imam Rada, and Imam Jawad became the Imam, that someone entered and looked and was like, oh, is this person the Imam? And so Imam Jawad in that hadith mentions one of the miracles, the karahmat of Imam Jawad, where his colors changed to different colors, as white as snow, as dark, and just various colors. And then Imam Jawad, he made this point. He says that it doesn't make a difference that, what color a person is, or what color your imam is. What is important is that individual and their connection to Allah. This is something that thousands of years ago our Imam was speaking. Something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he also points out in the Quran, in Surah Rum, which we've mentioned this before, that among the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's created the heavens and the earth. Among those signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's created you at different times. You speak different languages. This is also one of the karamat and miracles of our Imam, that no matter who came to them from any part of the world, they were able to speak and converse in their language. So, again, to appreciate our differences in language, whether it be Urdu, Arabic, Farsi, English, Chinese, Japanese, whatever, Hausa, French, Swahili, this is an ayat of Allah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can create and provide such a world. That is all from the front of Allah. ومن آياته خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف ألسنتكم وألوانكم, and the variations of your colors. This is from the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not one of those things that we look at and we take pride that, oh, well, I'm this color and you're a different color. Oh, well, I speak this language and you speak a different language. Oh, you can't speak Arabic. Oh, you can't speak French. No, this is from the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That when we encounter these things, our variety in color, in shape, in size, our language, our color, ethnicity, that we see these things and we come to Allah. We recognize Allah, say, Allahu Akbar. SubhanAllah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created all of this. So we learn this lesson from the life of Imam Jawad alayhi salam, even at his birth. Another important lesson we learn from the life of Imam Jawad, and this is also in the very early years of the life of Imam Mohammad Jawad alayhi salam, and that is how Imam Rida alayhi salam interacted with this young son of his. It's stated in the Riwayat that even at this very young age, Imam Jawad alayhi salam, just 24 years old, he used to call him Kunya. He had this Kunya, this nickname for Imam Jawad. And he would call him Abu Ja'far. And this is a young boy of 3 years old, not married. He's saying he's the father of Ja'far. This is one of the names of Imam Jawad. And so Imam Rida said that even when Imam Jawad was young, he wouldn't call him by his name. He wouldn't say, Ya Jawad, or my son Jawad. No, he would call him, Ya Aba Ja'far. And so according to our ulama, when they look at this, on one hand, within the riwayat, it said it is highly recommended to give your child a nickname, and a good nickname. So not like this, or kunya, which is basically you call him as if he's or she is the father of someone. That adore you call it Fatima, for example. So this is one of the things that is recommended to do. On one hand, it instills that child with confidence. And then especially if you call them like, oh, you're Abu Ja'far. You're treating them as if, yes, you are someone who is mature or is on that way to maturity by calling them by that name. So we see that Imam Rida alayhi salam, he interacted with Imam Jawad, that's not calling him by his name, but always calling him or referring to him as Abu Ja'far. And so we see Imam Jawad alayhi salam also at that very young age, about 4 years old or 5 years old. This is about 815 815, 816 in Taqi era. And this is when Ma'mun, he is calling Imam Rida alayhi salam to come to Khurasan. So Imam Jawad is a young boy. And subhanAllah, the accounts of that event. So Imam Jawad was at home, but he realized that his father was being called to Khurasan. Imam Rida alayhi was making tawaf at the Kaaba with Umar. So Imam Jawad, he leaves from home, this young boy of 4 or 5 years old, and he leaves home going by himself to go to the Kaaba to see his father, to engage with his father that, Ya Abata, well, my father, I don't want you to, I want you to stay. He says, and I'm afraid that yes, if you go, what will happen to you? What will this Ma'mun do? Meaning that the Imam, even at that young age, he is very much aware of what's happening, very much aware of what is happening in the Ummah. So, if we go back to those series, I gave a series on Taqi that you train your children for the first 7 years, you let them do what they want, and in the next 7 years, of course, the training is indirect in those first 7 years, but you don't make very strict rules for them. You guide them indirectly. But then the second set of 7 years, you begin to make schools, you begin to teach about the Quran. So we see that even before Imam Jawad alayhi salam reaches to that first 7 years, he's already very much astute and aware of what is happening around. Very much aware of what was happening between Ma'mun and his brother Amin. That Amin was the Khalifa and Ma'mun was the Wazir, according to some, whereas some historians say that both Ma'mun and Amin were made the Khalifa, but to share this Khilafah. Ma'mun was from Khorasan up until Baghdad, and Amin was the Khalifa from Baghdad to the rest of whatever that case may be. But Imam Jawad, he was aware of what was going on. During that time period as well, one of the uncles, or actually great uncles of Imam Jawad alayhi salam by the name of Mohammad ibn Ja'far. This is the son of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. That Muhammad ibn Ja'far rose up in the Middle during that time, right before Imam Rida. He went to Khurasan. Many of the Shia, those who were, they followed the Ahlul Bayt, many of the children, the offspring of Ali and Fatima and the offspring of Ibrahim, that they were rising up against the Abbasid. Among them was Muhammad bin Ja'far, one of the sons of the Prophet. And according to the accounts of the history, the reason why he rose up is that someone had disrespected Fatima, the Zahra. And this was something that Muhammad bin Ja'far he did not stand for. And so therefore he rose up. I mean, we had a group of revolutionaries against the Abbasid. And of course, that disrespect was perhaps based on the claim that the Abbasids had, or at least what they were claiming, that why were the Abbasids more entitled to be the Khulafa over the children of Imam Ali. One of their arguments, they would argue that the inheritance or this type of Caliphate goes through the sons. Rasulullah didn't have a son. And so therefore it went through the sons of Abbas. So Rasulullah, and which is Abbas is the uncle of Rasulullah. And so therefore he would be more entitled to this position of the Khilafah. So that's what the Abbasids they were saying. This is one of their claims, that why the Khilafah of the Abbasids were more worthy to rule over the children of the Prophet. And of course, this discussion was answered, I mentioned it before, in one of the debates that Imam Ali bin Shahadat he had, just kind of indication of that, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Isa bin Maryam, or he listens Isa bin Maryam as one of the children, one of the offsprings of Ibrahim. That's what Imam Rida says. How is it possible? It's only possible through Maryam. Because Maryam, again, being in that lineage of Ibrahim, so therefore, Isa bin Maryam is considered from the Awlad of Ibrahim. One of the children, one of the offspring, the descendants of Ibrahim. So it says in the same way that the offspring of Fatima Zahra, the Awlad of Nabi. In any case, Imam Jawad, at that age of 4 or 5, he was very aware of the state of the believers. Going back to that statement of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the mu'min is someone who is aware of other mu'min. And the mu'min must understand that, again, the ummah is like one body, that if one part of that body is ailing and it's hurting, then that person would die. If you have a pain in your foot, you wouldn't be oblivious to it. You have a pain in your foot. Because the mu'min is like that. And the mu'min is like that. That one who knows that if there's an ailment in their body, you will understand. So this is the state of Imam Jawad alayhi salam at that young and tender age. Around 818, this is when, or actually a little bit before that, 816, probably, Imam Jawad alayhi salam actually goes to Khurasan. This is after Imam Rida, he goes. Imam Rida reaches, Imam Rida gets kind of established here. And then Imam Jawad salam, the caravan, he goes and he stays with his father Imam Rida. He's with his father in Khurasan. And then Imam Rida is shaheed, he becomes martyred. So at the age of 7, Imam Rida becomes Imam. He's the Imam. And at that tender age, Imam Jawad just as his father did, as you mentioned, the House of Wisdom was established. Of course, kind of started, and the foundation was laid by Harun al-Abbasi, and then Ma'mun, he kind of made it flourish. And according to the history, according to the historical accounts, they say that among all of the Khulafa, if you look at all of the Khulafa, the Umayyads, the Abbasids, that the one who was the most intelligent among them was Ma'mun. So Ma'mun was someone who had he took his education very seriously. Even and so when you compare Ma'mun and his brother Amin, Amin was like, doesn't know anything. But Ma'mun was very intelligent. In fact, we can see that the savviness of Ma'mun in his politics. One part of his savviness is that he married, Ma'mun had a couple of daughters, but one of his daughters he married to Mohammad when Mohammad came to Khorasan. Then the other daughter, he married to Imam Jawad alayhi. And so that comes a little bit later. Basically, when Imam Jawad was about 10, according to some of the accounts, this is when Ma'mun, he can promise that, okay, I'm going to marry my daughter. He would have me name Fadl to Imam Jawad. And some were questioning, why are you doing this? And and Ma'mun, he was saying, he said, I know. And he says, I know who this young boy is. Of course, he was saying it with a truthful statement that he knows who Imam Jawad is, and not ma'rifuhu, meaning that he has ma'rifa that he doesn't really have ma'rifa. So, and nor was that ma'rifa to the extent that it should be. But he was saying that, look, I know who this person is, and there's no one else who is like him. But the plot and point was based on the savvy, the political savvy of Ma'mun. And that was to make sure that he keeps the imams close. Someone that he knows that, look, they are actually worthy of the they should be leading the ummah, but in order to kind of keep my eyes on them, then we'll make sure that my daughters are married to. Which is much different than the harsh political position that we see that the Umayyads took against the Ahlul Bayt of Imam. The Umayyads, when we look at their interaction with the Ahlul Bayt, then for the most part, only one of the Umayyads who at one point came into power, he was okay, at least showed some sort of kindness, but most of their policies were very harsh against the Ahlul Bayt. Whereas Ma'mun in particular, and then some of the other Abbasids, they were a little bit, at least they showed some sort of political side. No, we're showing this kind of face that you're okay, but then in reality they're not. And this is why even when we read some of the Western historical accounts about Ma'mun and Ma'mun al-Abbasi, they were saying, oh, no, the Abbasids, they were okay with the Ahlul Bayt. First and foremost, a revolution, they rose up against the Umayyads in order to put the Ahlul Bayt, the children of Ali and Fatima, back in their proper place. And that never happened. So, well, even if that never happened, we see that they showed some kindness to the Ahlul Bayt. Even Ma'mun, he married one daughter to Imam al married the other daughter to Imam Jawad. This is to show kindness. But this was not the reason behind that move from Ma'mun. In fact, as we mentioned before, that when Ma'mun, he offered the Khilafah at first to Imam Rida Imam says, I don't want that. He says, if it is truly yours to have and you are truly been put in power and authority, meaning that wilayah is given to you by Allah, so you have no right. It's not for you to give it to someone. And if it is something that you have that position, you have that wilayah, and it is not something that is truly yours, he says, again, It's haram for you to give it away because you can't give away something that is not yours. So Imam Rida knew about the political savviness of Ma'mun and the Abbasids. Likewise, Imam Jawad alayhi salam. And this is why we see that Imam Jawad alayhi salam very beautifully expressed. He said, لا تكن وليا لله في العلانية وعدوا له في السر. This person should not be the wali as if, or that they are expressing that they're the friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they're one of the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they have a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they're representing the walayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth openly, but in reality and in their inner self and in secrecy, they're actually the enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these statements by Imam are very precise. Pointed, they understood and they wanted the Ummah to understand. They're not saying it just to say it. These individuals, they are Waliullah alaniyatan, lakin aduwwullah bisir. They portray themselves as the Khalifatullah. Because when we talk about this maqam or this station of Khilafah, and it is expressed quite often in two terms, in two ways. One, as is written, is that person was a Khalifa, is it Khalifatullah al-Ard, that they are representing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the earth. Or they say that they are Khalifatul Rasulullah. Khalifatul Rasulullah means a person who has that authority in the absence of Rasul or after Rasulullah. That same political authority, that authority to guide the Ummah that the Prophet had, but this time it is the responsibility of that person who sits on that station of Khilafah. And that's what Khalifa means. When we simply say Khalifa is short for either Khalifatullah or Khalifatul Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Imam Jawad, he said, don't pretend to be, and that person who's he has walayat, supposed to have walayat, supposed to be the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, supposed to represent the walayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth. So Imam Jawad, he says, person shouldn't pretend or make themselves appearing that they are waliullah openly, but they actually are doing Allah His actually the enemy of Allah. And this is a question you can apply to let's take Ma'mun and his brother Imam, or Ma'mun who eventually became the more well-known Khalifa. That what representative of Allah, if he had that wilayah, would kill his brother in order to gain that station of wilayah, or to be the Khalifatullah, or be the Khalifatul Rasulullah. And this is something that it happened not only in this case, when a son kills his father to become Khalifa, didn't have that station. But Tawakkul was killed by his son. Or again, brother killing brother. This is what happened in that station of supposedly this Khilaf historically. Those individuals who claimed this wilayah without truly being the without truly having a right to that station. In any case, Imam Jawad alayhi salam, when he became the Imam at that very young age of 7, you see that he engaged in this Baytul Hikmah as well, like Imam Rida alayhi salam, debating with individuals who were, they could have been his grandfather. One among those individuals was Yahya ibn Aktham. Yahya ibn Aktham was Qadi Qudat at that time. Qadi Qudat. He was the chief judge at that time. And he had a particular trait and characteristic. He would often ask people questions outside their, say, skill set. So if you knew something that this person, this guy, he's versed in, say, linguistics. So then he'll ask him a question about law. Oh, well, what is this? Person linguistics. Doesn't know really much about law. If a person is versed in theology, you'll ask him about linguistics. Oh, what is this? So this is like one of the ploys of Yahya ibn Aktham. All to make himself seem that, oh, well, he is the most knowledgeable in the book. Allah knows best. Perhaps this is how he raised to this level of being Qadi, Allah, the chief judge of the time. So Imam Jawad alayhi wasallam, at a very young age, he encounters Imam Jawad in the second of Baitul Hikmah, and he sits, and Ma'mun, he's praising Imam Jawad. In fact, when Imam Jawad enters, I see that Ma'mun, he stands up for Imam Jawad. He didn't stand up for anyone else who entered. So everyone is looking at him. Is this the Khalifa? He's standing up for this young boy. He's like, who is this chick? Who is this fellow? So Imam Jawad, he sits, and then Ma'mun praises him and says, yes, there's no one who can match his knowledge. So Yahya, he begins, he asks it one question. We have no time to go through that whole question because it is a very long hadith, one of those debates of Imam Jawad, where Yahya ibn Aktham, he asks a single question, but in that single question, it has about 30, 40 different aspects. So he asks them a question about a person who kills an animal during the Hajj, or the person is Mohammad. And so it's not a simple question that says, oh, the penalty is this. It depends on which scenario that person is in. Okay, he's at the Hajj. Does he actually have his ihram on, or he doesn't have his ihram on? Is he in the parameters of the haram or outside of the haram? What type of animal kid? So Imam Jawad as he goes through all 50 scenarios. If it's this, then this is crime. If it's this, and it's this, and it's this, and it's this. And Yahya ibn Aktham, he's silent. Can't say anything. As normally he would do that. If a person, he would ask a person something out of their skill set, they're not able to answer, then he would say, oh, yeah. He would give some answer, and he would say, yeah, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. Perhaps to maintain his position as the chief judge. But once he was silenced by Imam Rida, Imam Jawad, Ma'mun was like, oh, this is the first time he couldn't come back. He had nothing else to say after Imam Jawad. So then Ma'mun said, well, it's only fair that since he asked you a question, how would you ask him a question? So Imam Jawad asks Yahya ibn Aktham a question. And Yahya ibn Aktham cannot respond. Again, the question with regards to law, but Yahya ibn Aktham is the chief of judges. Should know. But Yahya ibn Aktham cannot respond. And Imam Jawad goes through the scenario. This is the answer. These things happen. Very long hadith, so I'm not going to go through the details. So Imam Jawad, at that very young age, had that knowledge. As we said, at the age of 10, he was promised to Fadl as Imam Jawad. He was asked to marry Fadl by Ma'mun. And so at that time it was kind of an engagement. According to the historical accounts, and that the actual marriage may have happened at a later time. Because Imam was 10 or 9, according to some accounts. According to some accounts, it says that yes, married at that age, but based on other things that the Imam Jawad he actually married Fadl 2 years before Ma'mun passed away, which will be a little bit later in the life of Imam. Imam was about 2011. So when Imam Jawad Ali became Imam, 2 years after that, we're going to explain the political savviness of Ma'mun. 2 years after that, and 2 years after the Shahadat of Imam Rida, Ma'mun, he moves the seat of the Khilafah away from Khurasan to Baghdad. According to some historical analysis, they say that, well, since the Shahadat of Imam Rida occurred, when Ma'mun, he didn't want to be close to that, to try to distance himself from actually being involved in the Shahadat of Imam Rida. But then Ma'mun, he also did another thing, which, again, when we analyze this, again, the Western accounts say, oh, well, this was nothing, because, after this event, this is what I'm saying, the marriage happened after marriage of Imam Jawad to Mohammad happened after, a couple of years after. So this is around 828, 21, Imam Jawad was about 10 years old, and 2 years after, roughly 2 years after the Shahadat of Imam Rida alayhi Ma'mun moves the Khilafah to Baghdad. And then what Ma'mun does, because while Imam Rida was the Wazir, or Wali al-Amr, Ma'mun, he adopted the color green. And this is the color that the Ahlul Bayt wore. This is the color that those who associated themselves with the Ahlul Bayt wore green. And the Abbasids, they wore black. But Ma'mun, he adopted green, and he made everyone in his cabinet, everyone who was around him, to wear green. And people were complaining. The people around him said, oh, first of all, you make Ali ibn Musa, you make him the Wali al-Amr. That means that if you die, then what happens is that now at that time, this is what we have the accounts of this. So then the Alimis, they would become, and they would become a Khalifa. So what was all this revolution and work that we've done? Then you adopt their color. You leave the black, which is the banner, the black banner, and the black clothing, that was the Abbasids. This was our sign and our symbol. And you make us all wear green, which is a sign of the Ali. So when Ma'mun, he moved the Khilafah to Baghdad, he said that people were so complaining. They were like, well, at least, we secured that the Khilafah would not go to the Ali, would not go to the Ahmad and Fatima. So he said that's Ma'mun, and when Majus, while still wearing green, he calls for a black cloak and black abaya, and then he, right there in that meeting, he changes back to the black of the Abbasids. And he makes everyone else wear and adopt the black. On one hand, this was very symbolic. That Ma'mun is now in that position, and after the Shahadat of Imam Rida, yes, he's going back, and he was always pushing the Abbasid agenda, but he wanted to let those individuals around him know that, listen, that we are all going to push the Abbasid agenda. And so don't think that this marriage and this promise of me marrying my daughter and fellow to Jawad, to Muhammad ibn Ali, is something that is a genuine thing. It is a political marriage, one that would keep tabs on Imam Jawad, and that's what Muhammad did. When she was married to Imam Jawad alayhi salam, that whenever she went back to her father, he saw the time he was alive, because Imam, according to the account that Imam Jawad, he married her around 830, the year 830, or 831, basically, because in Ma'mun, he died in 833. So roughly 2 years prior to the death of Muhammad. This is when the actual marriage took place. Imam was 21. Of course, prior to this, Imam Jawad alayhi salam, he had married Sumana when he was around 17. Year 828, Imam Jawad, he married Sumana, and shortly after the marriage, he had a child, Imam Mohammad alayhi salam. They said that even at that point, even before, again, right after Imam Jawad alayhi salam, he had Imam Hadi, and he had not yet solidified that promise of marriage to Fadl. So even right away, Fadl began to become jealous of Sumana. She became heated, and she was promised to marry him. So finally, when she did marry Imam Jawad alayhi salam, when Imam was 21, that jealousy remained in Fadl against Imam Jawad and against Sumana. Because Fadl also never had a child either. And she was, that jealousy, it stayed in her. Jealousy, which we know that from the teachings of Ahlul Bayt as Imam Ali, he says, Raqsul Rada'il and Hasad. The worst trait and characteristic that a person has is jealousy, that fire of jealousy. It eats at Iman. According to other riwayat, as Imam Sadiq, he warns, he says, Iyakum and Yahsuda بعضكم بعضا فإن الكفر أصل الحسد. He wants us, he says, don't become jealous of one another. This is because the root of disbelief and kufr and rejection of Iman is hasad. That's when the person becomes jealous of another person and wants to take whatever they have, whatever good they have, and Allah destroys or takes it away, or whatever they can do to take it away. That's what it leads to. That's what it leads to. As we mentioned, that the believer, the mu'min, the quality of the mu'min is what? That the quality of the mu'min is that he or she has empathy for what's happening. If someone's suffering, that mu'min feels their pain, feels their suffering, and tries to help or do whatever they can to alleviate that pain. Because it's like their own body is in pain and suffering. But hasad is the complete opposite. Hasad, that jealousy, you want to see others destroyed. Or if they're doing some sort of good, that you want to make sure that it is wiped out. This is, as the Imam says, it is Raqsul Rada'il, the worst trait. Wa'asl al-kufr, and the root of disbelief. The root of rejecting what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the Quran. Rejecting that seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It is a rejection of that seerah of the Ahlul Bayt of the Imam. So that's what Fadl, that she embodied that jealousy. That although Imam Jawad alayhi, and he was Jawad, this name was given to him because he embodied that quality to the point that, according to the historical accounts, that when the door of Imam Jawad alayhi was always open with anyone who came, and they asked from Imam Jawad. And this is whether they believed in his imamate or not. Those who were fuqara, the poor people, those who were sick, who were ill, they came to Imam Jawad. But That jealousy, it stirred into her. It stirred in her throughout the life. When her father died in 833, then her uncle Muqtasim became the Khalifa. And Muqtasim, according to the historical accounts, and this is not from my statement, but when you look at those who wrote the accounts, they said that Muqtasim, and even he said it in the poetry, his own statement, that Muqtasim, he was a guy, didn't know anything. Completely opposite of his brother Mahmud. Even to the point, in the historical account, that Muqtasim, he asked one of his advisors, Wazir, asked him a question. I'm not going to go into the details. So his advisor was like, well, I don't know. And then Muqtasim, he says, أنا خليفة الأمي ووزير عمي. He says, I'm the Khalifa who knows nothing. Ummi, meaning unlearned, untaught. He says, and I have a wazir, I have an advisor who's just a commoner, a layman. Ammi. He's Ammi. Among the Awam. And these are the words of Muqtasim himself. I'm not saying this to put it up. These are his own words. I know nothing, and I have advisors who know nothing either. They're just commoners. They're not aware of what's going on in the world. So this is the person who became the Khalifa after Mahmud, who was also someone who was jealous. He had this hasad against Imam Mohammad ibn Ali al-Jawad alayhi salatu. So along with her uncle Muqtasim and her brother, one of her brothers, her father's brother, and herself, these three individuals, they plotted to kill Imam Jawad alayhi salatu. Because again, Muqtasim himself, knowing that he knows nothing, but in anyone who comes to the Muslim world, because people were still coming in, there were still connections with the outside world. People coming to debate, to understand Islam, to engage in trade. And then even the Ummah itself, they think that, we have a Khalifa who knows nothing. He himself says he knows nothing. And then we have this young man who's from the land of Fatima, who knows anything that you ask him, he knows. Anything that you ask of him, he has jawab, and he will give. So Mu'tasim was like, well, I can't have this huge contrast that, at least his brother, Ma'mun, at least could put something, who knew something at least, and could at least put a better face on him, but Mu'tasim was like, so Mu'tasim returned back to those very harsh policies against the Ahlul Bayt, and Imam was planning with his niece to kill Imam Jawad. So around 835, Imam Jawad was summoned to Baghdad. But he comes and he stays in Baghdad. And of course, he comes there and he stays with Fadl. Fadl was there. The rest of the Imam's family, they stay behind in Medina. Also, Imam Hadi was in Medina. And it's just Imam Jawad and Fadl who were in Baghdad. And this is so that Muqtasim can keep an eye on them until their plot came to fruition. So it was almost like for that 1 year, from 835 to 836, that Imam Jawad was detained almost like a prisoner in his own home. But even still, while he was there was one quality about Imam Jawad that I cannot take from Imam Jawad. That was his door was always open. Those who were poor in Baghdad, those who were sick in Baghdad, they would come to the house of Imam Jawad. This is what the meaning is, Babul Murad. And Imam Jawad, people call him, even in some of the poetry, in some of the ziyarah, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum, Ya Babul Murad. Oh, the door in which there is hope. The door in which people seek out. How's the door of Imam Jawad? Because he turned no one away from that door. If they needed money, if they needed a dua to cure their ailment, if they needed to, hear something from the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. To understand something from the Quran, that door was open. That was the door that you would go to. Babul Marat of Imam Jawad. But the plot of Mu'tasim and Fadl was to close that Babul Marat, to close that door, to lock that door, to not have people access that door that anyone would go to and they would not be turned away. And this is why the details of what happened to Imam Jawad and his Shahadat is heart-wrenching. That in this summer, it was the summer of Imam Jawad and that on that day, according to the accounts, it was a hot day. And you see the ibadah of the Ahlul Bayt and the Imam. We become happy and say, oh, Ramadan is in the winter, so the days are short. Great time to fast. Or, hey, if we want to make a mustahab fast, a recommended fast, oh, let's wait until it's the winter time, the days are short. We can bear it better. But the Ahlul Bayt, no, they said, well, if the days are hot, then we know that this is a long day and there's more barakat in it, and so they will fast even during the summer. And on that day, it's a day like today. Of course, mashallah, we've had a lot of rain, so our days are nice. Normally we have very hot weather in Texas and Austin. But a day like today, according to council, it was hot, very hot. Imam Jawad, he fasted on it. And of course, and we fasted here in Texas in the summer. We know how long it is. We know how hot it gets. And on those hot days, how thirsty we may become. Or even just to break our salat, our fast. Squeezing some nice cool water. So Imam Jawad was fasting, and when he went to break his fast, he was given grapes. Grapes nice and juicy. You bite into a grape, they quench your thirst. But the grapes that Imam Jawad ate, it didn't quench his thirst. Because it said as soon as the Imam, he bit into that grape, and the grape went down his throat, as soon as the poison that was in that grape hit his stomach, that the Imam Jawad, he knew that this was not a normal grape. And immediately he felt the poison in that grape. They said that Imam Jawad, he looked at Fadl. He said, قتلتني يا عدو الله, that, oh enemy of Allah, you have killed me. She knew that at that moment that there would be no coming back from that poison that he consumed. Then he asked her, he says that you've killed me, that I'm at my end at this point. But so just give me some more. He says, because that grape that he ate, that poison that went into the body of Imam Jawad, it said that that was a poison. The poison has different qualities. According to the account, it says that poison was a poison that was hard, and that was also hot. A poison that created thirst. So immediately the Imam became thirsty. His mouth became dry. And so he asked just for a little water. Just bring me a little bit of water. You finished me off. Qatalakillah. That Allah will kill you. Allah will put you in a situation that you will be ill and there will be no cure for it. So though you've killed me, give me shade. Just give me a little water. Let me quench this dryness that has come to my mouth. What was the response of Father? They said that when the Imam, he asked for this water, the Fadl, she turned around, she began to lock all of the windows and lock the door and lock the Imam in his room, that he would be in this room. According to some of the accounts, they said the Imam, that immediately he began to stumble from the poison that he felt, that he went towards the door, but he would not make it to the door before he would fall upon the ground. And he was locked into this door. He was locked in this room by himself. They said that, according to some of the accounts, that when finally his body was found, it was 3 days. And the Imam was shaheed for 3 days because Father, she wouldn't go back. She wouldn't let people know that what happened. She wouldn't let people come in. And for 3 days, just as Imam Hussein, he laid on the plains of Karbala for 3 days without the hustle, without comfort. He laid in his room by himself for 3 days. They said that some of the people of Baghdad, they thought this was strange. They would go to the house of Imam Jawad, this door, which is Bab al-Murad, this door that was always sought out, this door that was never locked, this door that no one was ever turned away from. And they went to this door, and there was no one coming to the door. They thought that this was strange, that no one would come to the door of Imam Jawad. And how is this door which is Bab al-Murad, how is this door locked? How is it that people are turning away from this door? How come people are turning away? And this is because there was a Shahadat. There was the martyrdom of the Imam. Shahadat. This was the Shahadat. This was the martyrdom of this door of hope. This door that Mu'tasam wanted to lock. This door that Fadl, she locked. She wanted to close this door of hope. شهادة باب المراد مصيبة خير العباد عزايا حضرة جواد وإمام وشهيد. The martyrdom of the best of Allah's servants. This is the martyrdom, the closing of that door of hope. Or Imam, O Shaheed, Ya Imam Jawad, Kushtan Hujjat Khuda, Mawla Imam, Yabin Kardan Tazi Imam, Wa Shaheed. This martyrdom of Imam from Jawad. Imagine, not too long after Imam, not too long, Imam Jawad, he was just a young man, a man in his prime. And what we know about that, remember we said the mu'min, whenever there's a pain in the ummah, that mu'min feels that pain, according to the accounts of the Shahadat of Imam Jawad. They said that when the Imam, when he laid down on that ground, he fell to the ground trying to reach the door. But at one point, he knew that he would not reach that door. And as it says, that the Imam, he just laid on the ground. He stretched out his feet. He laid his arms beside his side. The Imam, as his bone began to go down, the Imam, at that point when his soul was being taken from his life, they said that Imam al-Hadi, that he was in Medina. Again, where is Baghdad and where is Medina? And Imam al-Hadi, he was in Medina. And then Imam Hadi, that as he was sitting with his family, they said the state of Imam al-Hadi changed. They said that they saw that Imam al-Hadi, his face became sad, and he just began to cry. And he burst out in tears, and people were wondering, that what is wrong with you? What has happened? All of a sudden, that we are talking with you, now you are crying. Imam Hadi, he says that Allah, He's placed into me a hayba, He's placed into me a state. And so I know that my father, that now he is returned back to Allah. I will have to go to Baghdad. I will have to go bury my father. Imam Hadi in Medina, he felt and he knew that when Imam al-Jawad had been martyred, Imam al-Jawad, the one who is generous and kind, the one that there's no one more generous and kind like Imam al-Jawad. One of the Shu'ara who asked permission from Imam al-Allah and Imam al-Jawad that during your martyrdom, can I recite on your behalf? Can I recite the Masiba on your behalf? One of these Sha'ir, one of these poets by the name of Isfahani, he wrote this poem to mourn the martyrdom of Imam Jawad. He wrote this poem saying, لا جواد غير لا خير في الوجود إلا خير. This is Jawad. This is a symbol of kindness. And you will find no other symbol of kindness like him. There's no goodness except for his goodness. How do we know this? How generous was Imam Jawad? جاد بنفسه سمينا راميا. He was so generous that he gave his own self. He gave his own self when he ate that poisonous grape. He gave his own self and he became Atishana. He became thirsty after he ate that grape. This was the generosity of Imam Jawad. قضى شهيدا وهو في شبابه دس إليه السم في شرابه أفترى عن صيامه بالسم فانفطرت منه السماء والعلم. That the Imam, he became shaheed in his prime. As a youth, he became shaheed. He was poisoned when he ate that iftar. He was poisoned when he was simply trying to make iftar. He was poisoned. وانشقت السماء بالبكاء على عماد الأرض والسماء. And as the Imam, he became shaheed. As with all of the Imams, the heavens and the earth, they felt the loss of this Imam. This Imam who was imprisoned for 1 year. Imam al-Jawad, Imam al-Ma'asum, Ikisar, apne qaid ki sakhtiyon rakne wale the, और आप मुअतसिल के ज़हर से शहीद हो गए, वाह इमामा, वाह शहीदा. إن لله وإنا إليه راجعون. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. اللهم بحق هذا المجلس الجواد اغفر ذنوبنا واستر عيوبنا وقضي حوائجنا واشف مرضانا ورحم أمواتنا وعجل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان واجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره والمستشهدين بين يديه وتحت إبوابه بحق محمد وآله الطاهرين.
يا حسين زيادة متوجه زيادة
أزور سيدي ومولاي صارت عن نفسه ونيابة عن والديه ووالديه ووالديه. اللهم صل على محمد بن علي بن موسى عالم التقى ونور الهدى ومعدن الوفاء وفرع الأزكياء وخليفة الأوصياء وأمينك على وحيك. اللهم فكما حليت به من الضلالة واستنقذت به من الحيرة وأرشدت به من الهدى وزكيت